pag-uusapan natin ngayon yung issue ng impeachment from the perspective of somebody from within the committee. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Terry Redon. Congressman Terry, salamat sa magpunta mo dito sa show natin.
Magandang araw, maraming salamat sa pag-imbita.
Kung Terry, alam naman ng lahat ngayon na itong usapan ng impeachment ay sobrang init at sobrang importante. Pero syempre maraming labanan ngayon with regards to the legalities of the impeachment. One of the key problems na nakikita ko ngayon at sinasabi nga ng kampo ni Sara Duterte ay unconstitutional daw itong ginagawa nyo. Ano na naman yung nangyari doon at bakit nasasabing unconstitutional?
Well, una sa lahat, hindi ko alam kung saan ho nila hinuhugot yung pagtatawag na unconstitutional kasi nung nakaraang taon, nagreklamo sila na nagmamabilis yung Kongreso doing the express route. Ngayong nagmamabagal ang Kongreso doing it piece by piece, step by step, within procedure, through the House Committee on Justice, ayaw din nila. So, I'm quite certain the Supreme Court will basically just junk this entire petition of Attorney Torion and all of the Duterte lawyers and allies.
Lumalabas dito kasi sinasabi ni VP Sara na hindi daw niya alam at wala daw siyang kinalaman dito sa pagsampa nung pag-file na tong TRO na to. Do you think ba na magagawa tong TRO without the knowledge of the Vice President?
Well, that's what she said. Hindi ba? Pero I think we have to go back to what had happened in Araw ng Davao. I think many of the petitioners in that case actually shared the stage with her. No? So I don't think may maniniwalang mga kababayan ho natin that tumakbo po itong petisyon ni Attorney Torion na hindi po alam ng atin pong pangalawang Pangulo.
Okay. Pero pag tinignan natin, ang nilalaban kasi nila ay yung pagsusupina ng mga iba't ibang mga financial documents, SALNs, yun daw sinasabi nila ay lumalabas parang fishing expedition. Kasi bakit daw tayo gagawa ng impeachment proceeding, yung Committee on Justice, without all of these evidence supporting the substance for the impeachment?
Well, una sa lahat, hindi totoong wala ebidensya yung mga complainants, no? Meron silang ebidensya at time of submission. Yun yung una. So all of the COA reports were there. All of the video documentation relating to the death threats were there. There was a mention of the SALN of the Vice President. So basically, it is essentially complete. More importantly, yung Mariaga affidavit was also there. No? So basically, the subpoenas on the tax documents, corporate documents, everything else within the hearing proper, it is just to get additional evidence and documentation. And wala ho nga nagsasabi in the Constitution and in the rules na kailangan po complete yung pong mga dokumento at ebidensya at the time of filing.
Okay, yun yung nakikita ko kasi kaya actually I'm very surprised that you said that you're very confident na the Supreme Court will not honor this TRO request. Kasi para sa akin, nagulat na ako nung first time na ginawa ng Supreme Court yan na I actually was very surprised when they came up with, I would call amendments to the Constitution when they came up with the new rules. Na I was surprised then that the Congress abided by. Even though after lumabas yung motion for reconsideration, parang nag-backtrack yung Supreme Court. Sinabi nila, hindi na natin nire-require itong due process. Tapos, pero bahala ang Congress kung anong gagawin nila. What do you think will happen kung, for example, ngayon, naglabas ng TRO ang Supreme Court? Susundin ba ng Kongreso yan at this point?
Well, ang sinabi naman ho ng chair po ng House Committee on Justice, if there is a TRO that is going to be issued, we will respect it, no? But until and unless there is a TRO, we will proceed with the proceedings until the very end. So, ibig sabihin, kung walang TRO, tuloy po
Okay.
yung pong pagdinig. And I'd like to explain, in the Supreme Court resolution, yung pong linabas ho nung nakaraan, ang sabi ho ng Korte Suprema, while they may look into how all of these things had happened, they will not question yung pong determination of sufficiency in form and substance po ng proceedings po namin. So ibig sabihin, I think in that Supreme Court resolution, ang sinasabi doon, pagka nagsalita ng Kongreso on substance and on form, di na namin yan papakailaman.
Oh.
Yun yung unang point.
Okay.
Pangalawang point ay, ang nakalagay ho ron, sabi ho ng Korte Suprema, the rules itself basically afford due process to any impeachable official, including the Vice President. So, kasama ho doon yung hearing of evidence. At babanggit ko kasi very precise yung sinabi. So the Justice Committee conducts appropriate hearings. So ibig sabihin, the question, kasi kahit yung hearings itself, parang sinasabi, ba't ka nag-hearing? Dapat, pagbotohan nyo na lang yan on sufficiency in substance and form. Pero sinabi ho in that Supreme Court resolution, which was the one that had finality in the last couple of months, sabi, the Justice Committee conducts appropriate hearings. Secondly, the committee proceeding, which is what we are doing now, emphasizes institutional screening and committee review. So, ibig sabihin, kasama ko talaga dyan yung pag-isa-isa ng pong mga dokumento at ebidensya. Yun yung pangalawa. Pangatlo, the committee has the power to receive evidence during the hearings for the purpose of evaluation. So, ibig sabihin, wala ho yung sinasabi nila na pag hindi mo yun sinabmit at the time of filing, hindi na pwede. Hindi yun totoo. Ibig sabihin, during hearing, pwede pong mag-receive ng ebidensya yung committee. And therefore, yung pong subpoena powers ay inherent in the conduct of a hearing. So, ibig sabihin, whatever that they're talking about na this is a fishing expedition, hindi po yung totoo.
And also, babanggitin ko na rin, that I recently heard the interview with Karen Davila with Congresswoman Luis Tro. At dito sa interview na to, parang sinasabi niya na you're acting like a trial court because of the power to cite people in contempt. Di ba, is Karen right on this one or wrong? Or how do you feel being a member of that Committee on Justice?
Well, I think she has to refer to her lawyer. Not like wiggle her way out of something that she doesn't entirely understand. No? Kasi very precise yung wording eh. And inherent in hearings would be compulsory processes like subpoena and yung po nga mga contempt powers po ng mga komite. And just to finalize, kasama
Sure.
doon sa binanggit po in that resolution, yung po nga nature of hearings are for the presentation of evidence, which includes documentary evidence, witnesses, and other evidence. So, ibig sabihin, yung Korte Suprema na mismo yung nagsabi na yung pong proceedings ng House Justice Committee, pwede ho lahat yun. Ibig sabihin, well within the mandate, during House hearings, yung pong pagkuha ng additional na mga ebidensya, pagpapatawag ng witnesses, at pagkuha po ng mga dagdag na mga dokumento, which is basically the Supreme Court challenge being undertaken by the Duterte lawyers.
Right. Okay. Wow. Okay. I like the way you broke that down para naintindihan natin mga mamamayan. I wonder, maybe that's why you're very confident that hindi magagrant yung TRO na to because nga, mismo yung Supreme Court, they'll have to parang overturn their own statements, their own resolution if they did that.
Well, kasi nga, precisely, they mentioned matters relating to House Committee on Justice hearings. Hindi ba? Kung wala yon, wala tayong pag-usapan, pwedeng bukas pa yung usapin. And they will have to reprosecute it again.
Right.
Hindi ba? Pero, nabanggit yun in that resolution na very important ho within committee proceedings, yung screening po ng mga ebidensya. Kasi, kung hindi ho magpapahiring, how can we actually know, for example, na credible si Ramil Madriaga? He will really have to be subjected to a test of credibility during the proceedings, hindi
Right.
ba? Kasi talaga naman, we have to see kung tama ba, totoo yung mga sinasabi niya. Yun yung una. Secondly, yung po sa SALN, why are we getting all of the tax documents, all of the corporate documents?
Right.
Kasi nga, unang sinasabi, there is a wealth gap between the cumulative salary of the Vice President at around 30 to 40 million and the stated net worth at 88 million. So, ang kailangan nung maipakita doon, a revenue from other income as lawyers and as business persons
Right.
na more or less mga 200 to 400 million. So if we see from the documents na, meron na pala siyang 1 billion over the course of 17 years, edi wala tayo pag-usapan. There's nothing for this particular ground to proceed.
Right.
Kasi nga, talaga na pala malaki ang kita po ng mga negosyo Pero syempre, on the other hand, pagka hindi umabot ng 200 million yung revenue over the course of 17 years, nung lahat ng combined businesses po yun, din doon natin masasabi na parang unexplained wealth yun.
Pero at the same time, meron yung issue with regards to the bank accounts. I'm surprised na hindi pa nasupina yung bank accounts considering sinupina na nyo lahat Why not supina the bank account records?
Well, una sa lahat, I think marami pa hong mga dokumento kasi na talagang we want to be able to look into. And syempre, malaki yung pagkakaiba ng bank accounts and yung pong mga SALN, tax documents, corporate documents. Kasi yung pong mga yun, mga naka-repository sa mga government offices. So, ibig sabihin, I think wala akong masyadong problema to get all of these things, no? And more importantly, if we are able to build a case without relying on the bank accounts. Kasi titignan naman ng whole on tax documents and corporate documents would be the tax payments and the financial statements year on year.
Right.
So, ibig sabihin, pagka nakita natin halimbawa doon na, well, malaki pala yung binabayad nilang buwis, o malaki pala yung kinikita nila, di wala ko tayo. We don't even need to look into the bank documents at all. No? Pero I think that is something that can still be looked into at a future time.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I remembered pag tinignan natin yung SALN ni VP Sara, was it the latest one was at 88 million, di ba? Okay. Actually, what I think what happened is not the growth of the SALN or the net worth, but the underreporting na nakikita kong problem. Because pag tinignan mo nga yung bank accounts niya, the joint account with her dad, si Digong Duterte, lumalabas according to what Trillanos is saying, there's over 2.5 billion in that bank account. Now, yun yung mas nakikita kong problem is you underreported your SALN at 88 or 88 million compared to the billions that's actually in your bank account. Shouldn't that be the angle or at least one of the angles that we should be looking at?
Well, it can be one of the angles, no? Pero yung po unexplained wealth kasi, merong prima facie showing yun Ibang bagay pa yun. To be clear, ibang bagay pa yung underreporting or misreporting ng SALN. Ibang violation yun Pero yung unexplained wealth kasi, you have to be able to look into a pattern over the course of years.
Okay.
Hindi ba? So, ibig sabihin, kaya very important ho yung forensics nung pagkapapakita na meron pong total cumulative income over the course of her time during as a vice mayor, and vice president, and yung pong ang mga sinasabi ho nilang kita nila from all of the other profession and business income. Kasi yun yung paliwanag nila eh. The reason why it reached 88 million, dahil magagaling po sila mga abogado. Bakit mababa daw ba, maliit ba yung acceptance fee nila? I think these are the talk points in defending the net worth of the Vice President. Secondly, meron silang ice plant. Hindi ba? At malalakas ang mga negosyo. So, okay, if that is the case, then let us look into the financial documents of all of these things.
Okay.
And not just on SALN, but also on everything else.
Right.
Which is not just unexplained wealth, but also the death threat against the president and yung pong misuse of confidential funds.
Yes.
So, I don't think kailangan hong pagbanggain ito pong mga bagay na. And more importantly, yung pong SALN naman ho, tinatapos lang po ng Kongreso. Yung kanya pong patakaran relating to SALN release. No? So I think that is something that will be undertaken in a due time. No? So wala ho tayong problema po ron. Kasi nga, pinipina lang po ng Kongreso yung kanila pong patakaran sa bagay po na ito.
What about the issue with Ramil Madriaga? Are you going to be calling him to be, is it called a witness or is it a resource person?
I will be called whether as a witness or a resource person on the 14th. Kasi the subpoena was issued on him already.
Okay.
So he will be tested on credibility and kung totoo ba yung lahat po ng mga pinagsasabi niya doon po sa affidavit po na sinubmit sa amin.
So this is a good opportunity also for Duterte allied members of Congress to be able to test him, to see nga kung credible nga to. Kasi nga, they're saying nga daw na hindi daw credible according to, was it La Chica na nagsabi na hindi naman daw niya kilala or wala naman daw nangyaring ganung transaction. Will Sara Duterte's other security detail ata yung si La Chica eh. Will they be invited also to be,
I think they will be allowed to participate in the proceedings. No? Lalo kung mababanggit po yung pangalan nila, I think justice would require na maipakita din ho nila yung kanilang side in the course of the hearings.
Right, okay. So but for now, is Ramil Madriaga in the custody of Congress or no?
Not at the moment, but we will coordinate with the BGMP and the court that has jurisdiction on him kung paano ho ba yung kanyang pagpunta sa Kongreso when he is called in to testify.
When he is called in to testify, how many, is it session days or how many hearings will he be allowed for members of Congress to test his credibility and also to para mabagin yung kinasalaysay dito sa issue na to?
Well, I think a hearing or two would be sufficient already to determine kung maayos ba yung credibility niya, yun yung una. Pangalawa, kung totoo ba yung mga sinasabi niya.
Okay. And ang nabalitaan ko nga, sinasabi nga, I think Congresswoman Luiso said na the entire Committee on Justice hearing will finish in, what, by May? Tama ba yun?
We will decide at the end of April kung we will require further hearings through May. No, pero I'm quite certain tapos na kami by end of May. And then we can have a report to be voted on by the plenary.
To be voted on. Okay. And then, so that's the thing about that I was curious about. Kasi yung pagkaalala ko dati, parang hindi naman paggaling sa Committee on Justice, kailangan pa ba talaga iboto? Is that something new or has that always been around?
Ano naman ho yan? Talagang ganun yung proseso.
It's always been like that?
Yeah. So we have to vote in committee and then we have to vote in plenary.
Okay. And you need a 1/3 vote lang?
In plenary, yeah.
Right. Okay. And do you believe that members of Congress, you will have the numbers to be able to file this impeachment and submit it to Senate?
Well, like what we had previously stated, you just have to look into the vote on substance. No? It had 54 votes then. So I think we have more than half of what is required for the 106
Right.
to get the 1/3 majority. No? So I think that's something that we have. I don't think it's a number that is difficult to surmount at that time.
Yeah. Especially after you conduct the Committee on Justice hearings, pag lumabas sa atang mga ebidensya, I think it's going to be stronger pa nga eh.